Understanding that things starting to happen on the positive side, because this is a team of the future. They're coming off their greatest recruiting class ever. They beat Oregon State in their last outing. They beat them handily. Their 3 stars, Julian Jacobs, Caden Reinhardt, Elijah Stewart, they had the offensive production that they're going to need tonight to get it all done here. We have got a game tonight, Ted.
And here's what Andy Enfield hopes is the perfect combination. Is Reese's Game Day starting lineup, starting Elijah Stewart again and Julian Jacobs in place of Jordan McLaughlin. No surprise in the Reese's Game Day lineup for Arizona. This is their standard 5, led of course by senior guard TJ McConnell.
The band ready early, starting with Neil Young's Tin Soldiers and Nixon coming. Ohio, here we go. This place is rocking. That's how you know you got a program. Throw it down one time.
And how about that right away? McConnell, a set play, delivers it right at the rim to Tarczewski.
Ted, you can never discount the import of this fan base here. 32 years. That's Tarczewski? I thought that was Brandon Ashley, excuse me.
Yeah, it was Tarczewski.
Let me clean my cataracts here, excuse me. Can we get a quick surgery?
And an early foul on Darian Clark of USC. So Arizona, which last weekend swept the Washington schools and did so with their best inside game all season long, they start tonight on the very first possession the same way.
And look at the outstanding defensive effort off the ball by Stanley Johnson.
Jovanovic forced to fade and still hits it over Tarczewski.
The front court for Andy Enfield is going to be critically important tonight. Don't get pushed around. Attack, hit first, get running out there. TJ McConnell, Sean Miller, very concerned about the confidence level of Tarczewski. They need to get him going. They need to have him be hugely productive. Wonderful pass.
Boy, nice setup. That was Stanley Johnson, the playmaker, to Ashley.
Penetration and dish. That is what TJ McConnell wants to do. Opponents, if they're going to have any sort of chance to beat Arizona, even more so in this building, they've got to make him a scorer.
USC again playing without Jordan McLaughlin tonight. Andy Enfield telling us today, down for the weekend. He's here. He actually practiced with the team this morning, but will not play either game.
Got a very sore shoulder, the same shoulder that was operated on a year ago. Elijah Stewart, nice play there.
Yep, that's going to be out off Stewart the last. Oh, no, I believe that's a mistaken point by John Higgins. Vern Harris running in, and there's a great story. It is Arizona ball. And we have a wonderful story tonight running right there in the bottom of your picture. Vern Harris back officiating, one of the terrific officials in this conference, just 2 weeks after having a section of his colon removed.
We can only hope and pray that Vern is going to be okay. What an outstanding, not just referee, but a human being, a guy who's given his life to make other people's dreams come true. And his health is coming into question, but he worked last night up at UNLV in Boise State's big victory at the Thomas & Mack Center. Finally a miss for Arizona. Tarczewski just playing volleyball at the
Tarczewski. Second offensive rebound goes. And remember, Arizona last weekend in both of their games up north had more points in the paint than they had in any games this season. Back-to-back they did it. And we asked Sean Miller today, he talked about Tarczewski, how much better he played last weekend.
That's Arizona basketball, Ted. They are not a three-point shooting team. They want to pound it inside. Reinhardt has got to get some jumpers to fall here.
And on the second try, it is Stewart who does.
This is a real test for USC because they are outsized and outclassed physically at every position. Maybe Jacobs at point, they're a little bit better than TJ McConnell, but TJ McConnell is the best player in the conference. So tonight we're going to find out if you can play against somebody who's bigger and stronger than you. Beautiful pass, Julian Jacobs.
Oh, that'll be a rare mistake by Arizona. McConnell passing the ball at the end directly to a USC player.
How about what a job Greg Byrne, the athletic director, does here? Stanley Johnson down the lane. Just so strong, so powerful, but more importantly, so gifted. What a touch, what a mind. USC looks better than the last time I saw them.
Okay, Bill, and I'm interested. They're a little aggressive here early.
They're asserting themselves.
Nice,
last time I saw them, they played at home at the Galen Center against Oregon. You had the standings up early. Keep your eye this Sunday, 12 noon Pacific time, Utah at Oregon. Critically important game.
Julian Jacobs at the line here for USC.
At the top of the standings, you've got Arizona and Utah heading toward that phenomenal showdown on Saturday night, February 28th at Utah. 7 o'clock Utah start time. And it's just going to be a phenomenal game. Only, though, if Utah can take care of business at Oregon, but that will not be an easy game. Joe Young, Dana Altman, they'll all be ready. Dylan Brooks, that crowd up there in Oregon.
Dana Altman is once again showing that there's a lot of things going on around Oregon basketball, but Dana Altman's a terrific coach. And again, a team that's playing better the second half of the season. That's been pretty much a pattern while he's been in Eugene.
Utah playing Oregon State tonight, but Dana Altman, that sense of development, the sense of progress and moving forward. Beautiful pass, TJ McConnell.
Stanley Johnson got stuffed by the underside of the backboard.
Self-check. I love watching.
I like that.
I love watching TJ McConnell play. He epitomizes what is interesting in basketball for me. Just undersized, but just so smart. The quick delivery.
And to see Bell, you would understand if Tarzewski is playing at his level, he's aware and he can catch the ball, he's going to get a lot of points like that.
But Tarzewski moving to the ball tonight. Confidence in basketball comes from repetition. Had a great talk with TJ McConnell today. Look at every ball Tarzewski's got his hands on.
It's a very good opening sequence. Actually good for USC as well, but that guy, the Arizona big man, 7 points.
Tried formula for success. Pounded inside and played a great defense.
So now the question is Sean young enough to understand the brilliance of Stephen Stills, David Crosby, and Graham Nash? Two of their marvelous songs there that used to teach your children. They end their shows with that, don't they?
And they start with Carry On.
Gabe York in for Arizona out of the timeout. There's Hollis Jefferson. Ooh. The rim rejected him, I believe.
Well, Rondé has to just go up and make a quick layup. Use his quickness and explosiveness, get above the rim, and then just lay it in off the board. Very difficult in that situation to throw one down. I mean, maybe Shaq, maybe certainly Wilt, Akeem, but very few other players in the history of basketball can make that kind of play. Keep it simple. Rondé's just too good, too valuable.
So Gabe York and Elliott Pitts both in off the Arizona bench. No changes for USC. And an ankle locking move by Hollis Jefferson.
His level of physical fitness, his stature, his sense of confidence, it's just infectious the way he comes out here and just outwork everybody for 2 solid hours.
Nice little runner that dances and then drops for Jacobs.
Julian Jacobs, the Las Vegas native. Look at Tarzewski up and down the court. Beautiful hands to keep it alive. Julian Jacobs is the best game I've ever seen him play.
And the pace is clearly up here early.
This is Andy Enfield pace.
Yeah, I was going to say, this
up and down.
love this.
Three. But do they have the depth? Do they have the overall talent to match Arizona?
Nice setup by TJ McConnell. Gave Pitts enough time to check the laces, check the shoes, spin the ball, and
Andy Enfield needs a timeout here. Every play has gone and been orchestrated by TJ McConnell. It is just absolutely brilliant, his ability to get in the lane, draw 3 defenders. And when you're defending TJ McConnell, you only really want to stay with one guy on him all the time. Make him shoot. Because if these other guys are getting wide open shots, you have no chance of winning.
This is that little ankle lock move, and here's Hollis Jefferson. Displaying a delicate pitch.
And Ted, he's had to work on his ball handling skills more of late because with the concussion to Parker Jackson Cartwright, who is now available, fortunately, for everybody, including him. We'll have to see whether he plays or not tonight. They were using Hollis Jefferson at the point guard as the backup to T.J. McConnell. T.J. McConnell leads the Arizona Wildcats with 30 minutes played per game.
So good news for Arizona fans there. You see him, number 0, Parker Jackson Cartwright is in the game, along with Dusan Ristic. Both missing games. Jackson Cartwright hasn't played in February yet. We were here when he got hit in the head.
Dylan Brooks for Oregon.
Moved by Oregon's Brooks, and Jackson Cartwright suffered a concussion in Oregon. Of course, in this era, being incredibly cautious with Jackson Cartwright following all the protocols.
And well, you should.
Yes.
I mean, the brain is the most important part. It's just like this Arizona Wildcat team. I mean, that's T.J. McConnell. He's the brain of the team on the court.
Jackson Cartwright had a mask out there today during the shoot-around. He was trying it on, but he's not wearing it.
Great defense by Arizona. Transition defense, Andy Enfield really focusing on that today. Cannot turn the ball over against these Wildcats or you have no chance.
Now Ristic holding that ball.
Nice.
And eventually USC smothered it. And then Malik Martin follows.
Excellent transition opportunity. I had no idea that Julian Jacobs was this good a ball player. He's been in the shadows with Jordan McLaughlin, getting so much of the attention. Excellent post-entry pass. The UCLA Bruins, who come in here Saturday night, they would do well to learn how to feed the post the way these Arizona Wildcats do. Good crisp hard passes. Magic Johnson was the gold standard of how to feed the post, and what he did to help Kareem get going. Not that Kareem needed any help, but you always need that good pass to get it into your wheelhouse and rhythm.
Wow, how about that? Malik Martin, 6'11", hits the 3 ball.
Malik Martin, one of that top 12 recruiting classes in the country this past year, out of Florida. Next year is even better. They got a couple of big near 7-footers Andy Enfield does coming into the minute, Troy. But the ability to stroke in perfect rhythm, no hesitation, that confidence, yeah, this is happening, this is going down. We are seeing the team of the future right now on display for USC. This is a team, they only have one junior that even plays.
Right. No
Luis
seniors.
Gravilovich.
Right. No seniors, juniors that are reserves.
Nice passing. Oh, come on, Deuce, you got to catch that.
I was talking to Andy Enfield today, Bills, we both were, but it's interesting because given Andy Enfield's background, I just asked him a question. I said, how do you just zero in on shooters? Because that's his background.
Right.
And he said, I'm bringing them in next year. He said, that's been a problem this year, is finding the players to consistently make big shots. Reinhardt's had times where he has. But it's funny because of all the concentration on basketball today, sometimes that gets lost. Doesn't just make the shot.
It's the essence of the game. Offense wins championships, and here comes Julian Jacobs again. Keep that ball one dribble more to get into the free throw line area. Nice. Peyton Reinhardt, critically important, going up against head-to-head Stanley Johnson. They were high school teammates at Mater Dei. State champions, undefeated their senior season.
Push 3 by McConnell.
What beautiful basketball. Both sides, back and forth. The crowd just enjoying it immensely. The band firing up during the dead ball action. But just think of these golden opportunities in the Conference of Champions for young players growing up. USC, Arizona State, where I was last night, in a phenomenal atmosphere and setting. Seattle, Lorenzo Romar. What's going on up in the Northwest is just tremendous. And all these players who are looking around, where am I going to go? How am I going to build my life? Come here, USC, Arizona State, Seattle. Those are golden opportunities. Make the most of it.
This pace real fast. Much more so than I would have thought as we get a foul that will take us to timeout.
Arizona ball movement. Everybody getting involved. No egos, no hype. just substance, ball movement, quick release. We've got a ball there. And the fact that these guys have the size and the strength. Brandon Ashley grows up in San Francisco, just an incredible player. He was a fan of the Seattle Sonics in the NBA as a San Francisco boy. I saw this last night, time and time again. Teams giving up layups on a baseline out-of-bound play. Where is the preparation? Come on, let's go, defense.
And Tarzinski has 9 points in this first half, first 10 minutes. Marchetti and Bryan both in the game off the USC bench.
Offensive
Bad
foul.
screen.
Marchetti away from the ball.
Tarzinski,
the quickness, he comes away from the ball. He's like fading away, and nobody even looks at him. Please, you have to watch the ball. You cannot keep your eye on your man. You have your hand on the guy you're guarding while your eyes are on the ball.
Good first 10 minutes for Caleb Tarzinski and for Arizona. 7 different Wildcats have scored.
The confidence needed to be great. You have to believe that it's you, and you have to love all these people looking at you. If you don't have that, if you don't have the sense of, come on, give me the ball right now, you really got no chance. Beautiful pass.
Again, what a great job of splitting by McConnell and then setting up Ashley.
That's what's beautiful about basketball. You got Stanley Johnson, Hollis Jefferson, Ashley, and Tarzinski, and it's all about TJ McConnell. Left to right, change of pace, change of direction. But Brandon Ashley, who played on an AAU team based out of Oakland, he's from San Francisco, called the Oakland Soldiers, sponsored by Nike. What players? They had Nick Johnson on the team. They played together here at Arizona. Nick's now with the Houston Rockets, doing very well. Brandon and Nick still talk regularly, but also on that team, Jabari Brown, who's on the LA Defenders in the D-League. You got Kiwi Gardner, who's on the Warriors Santa Cruz D-League team. Got Josiah Turner and Kyle Wiltshire, the big star for Gonzaga. That's on a bunch of high school guys playing together. Ted, things have changed.
Well, that's the big, in the Bay Area, NorCal, that's the big AAU team.
Nikola
Jovanovic. Banking from straight ahead.
You talked about the confidence necessary for Tarzinski. Same thing for Nikola Jovanovic. Now that's basketball right there. Look at him. He backs off. You've already hit a jumper. No dribble. Get in the air and let it fly. 3 members of the Pac-12 all-first team will be Wildcats. TJ McConnell, Stanley Johnson, and Hollis Jefferson.
The Pac-12 chooses 10 men to be on the first team.
On the first team on a 5-man game?
Yes. I think McConnell has 30 assists already.
Stanley Johnson celebrating Jason Terry with the jet, flying with the wings spread in transition. The faithful have gathered here in the Ring of Fire in Tucson. Down the lane again, TJ McConnell, the quick pass right in and then back up the court, a defensive transition. Yes, Jason Terry flying that big old jet airliner. Taking them to the promised land.
I'm looking at the stat board. TJ McConnell has 5 assists in the first 11 minutes. It feels like he has 20, and there is Jason Terry, whose jersey, they don't retire numbers here, they retire the jersey. His jersey's being retired.
But what a perfect,
look at that.
What a perfect night. And I was here early today and got to see all his teammates who have flown in from around the land. You got Bennett Davison, who was the most underrated player, Bennett Davison, in the history of Arizona basketball. He guarded anybody, and Bennett Davison's dad, he ran the trolley system in San Francisco, and now Bennett is in the solar world. He's moving down to Dallas. Solar energy, the biggest no-brainer in the history of the world. Nikola.
Yeah. Well, one thing about Jovanovic, you look at the stat sheet all season, and Jovanovic is the leading scorer for USC. He has 10 assists for the entire season. So you get an idea that the ball's not coming out.
He was never a big numbers guy. I mean, you look at him, you say, wow, this guy's really big. Down, big man. Whoa.
Tarzinski with 11 points in the first half.
if they can get this out of Tarzuski. The crowd is just standing as one, awestruck. So explosive.
Little arm contact there by Stanley Johnson.
Tarzuski's quick-hitting offensive attack. Great pass by Stanley Johnson. And the ability to deliver quickly. Basketball is one of the 4 most important skills in life. Balance, quickness, empathy, and creative imagination. And we're seeing it all tonight from a lot of these Arizona Wildcats.
And Tarzuski's finishing. McConnell with a steal.
Throw it up, throw it up. Throw
Another
it down.
assist. Oh! Tarzuski running the floor, racking up points. Both McConnell and Stanley Johnson are playing brilliant, sharing basketball in this first half.
Ted, this is very special.
And there's that goaltending. Basket counts. And a foul.
Ted, we are witnessing something truly special tonight. Because you're playing against the last place team, and they are playing like this is for the NCAA championships. Throw it down, big man. Mathematics, the founder of astronomy, an incredible scientist, Copernicus proved that his theory of the heliocentric solar system, that the center of everything in our world is the sun. The center in the world tonight, Copernicus' birthday is T.J. McConnell. Because all these guys are just coming out here and they're putting on basically a Cirque du Soleil demonstration of how to throw it down above the rim. But the setups have been perfect. And this crowd, you can never discount. This crowd and the crowd at Berkeley, which is really coming on strong. The job that Conzo Martin is doing there in building that program, 2 best crowds in the conference today.
Well, Copernicus is out of the game right now, getting a little rest. Parker Jackson Cartwright is in. There he is. One of the conversations today, we were all talking to him for quite a while, but T.J. McConnell said something great. He came over to me and he said, build up Parker tonight. He said, we got to say, because he's going to be a tremendous player here. And he said, we got to start making sure people realize that this team's going to be okay next year with Parker Jackson Cartwright running.
This program here, the players program, they epitomize selflessness. And that is what T.J. McConnell is all about. And don't discount the value and the contributions of Damon Stoudemire over there.
Deflections. Nice save there. Elijah Stewart did well to stick with that.
Look at how hard the Wildcats are playing on every possession. It's the best I've ever seen Nikola Jovanovic play. We got 3 Serbians in this game, and we want to wish them well. That's a violation. You cannot grab the net to propel yourself up into the air to spike that ball down. USC, they're getting pounded right now. Don't get frustrated. They showed that they could play the first 5 minutes, 7 minutes, maybe even 10 with Arizona. This is about progress. This is about growth. That's why Pat Hayden brought in Andy Enfield. The guy comes from that financial world of how to start up companies and how to build and develop people, programs, products, everything. It's going to happen at USC. Beautiful pass by Jacobs.
First time that Andy Enfield has ever been involved in a game here. He had been here before years ago, but not for a game. And most of the USC players have not been here. The Trojans did not play in McHale last year. So this almost all freshman, sophomore team, this is all a new experience.
And once this USC team gets itself going with all the new recruits, that Galen Center, that's going to rock. Because what's happening in downtown Los Angeles, the same thing that's happening in Tempe and Phoenix, the same thing that's happening in Seattle, the economic explosion that is happening in the Conference of Champions. I mean, this is not a truck stop conference.
And the Trojans had it. They had it there in Tim Floyd's run with Taj Gibson and Daniel Hackett and O.J. Mayo for 1 year. And, of course, that led to other problems. But DeMar DeRozan for a year. But they had brilliant basketball there. And the Galen Center did have a 3-4 year run there where it was alive.
But how about the line that Julian Jacobs had in the Oregon State victory? He had 14 points, 8 boards, 7 assists, 3 blocks, 2 steals, and 8 turnovers.
8 turnovers.
But that's the kind of game that they need. And this is an experiment. It's like the biosphere. You figure it out as you go along. You make the adjustment. That's what life's all about. That's what college, and that's why you get these great coaches that we have in the Conference of Champions.
So Jacobs missing 2 free throws.
Gabe York starting to come back into his rhythm now. At this pace here by Julian Jacobs, so fun to watch.
And Elijah Stewart hits his second 3 of the first half.
Elijah Stewart grew up in DeRidder, Louisiana. He came to Los Angeles in the summertime once for a basketball camp. Not an elite camp, just a regular, children's camp. And he never left. He said, this is too nice here. He was over at UCLA, and he said, I'm just staying here. He had family members in Los Angeles. He went to Westchester High School. The rest is history.
Well, he's going to get called for a foul here. Now, this is the basket he made.
The stroke, the rhythm, the balance, it's all right there. And Julian Jacobs just putting that ball right on the mark, quickly, right into the shooting hands.
And Stewart called for a foul, talking to Vern Harris there. Look at Ashley at the line. Randy McCall and John Higgins, all part of this terrific officiating trio tonight. So we'll get you back to our Pac-12 Network studios at the half. Mike Yam and KO and Don McClain will be there with this game, and looking ahead to Utah, Oregon State, to Montana. They actually played together. Larry Kristkowiak and Wayne Tinkle going head-to-head tonight in Corvallis.
Corvallis, Oregon State has not lost at home this year.
Yes, it's a great call.
And Utah needs every victory because that coming in head-to-head, who's going to get the #1 seed at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas? Who's going to get the top seed between Utah and Arizona? So much will be decided. Who will be Conference Player of the Year? Who will be Coach of the Year? All coming to that big, boiling, bubbling head. February 28th, TJ McConnell settling a lot of things early here tonight.
5 points for McConnell. Oregon State, by the way, is allowing at home 52 points a game. So it'll be interesting to see how Utah fares. They've been an explosive offense at home. Can they generate it on the road? Travel here on Gavrilovic.
Utah with just 2 losses this year in the Conference of Champions, here in this building and at UCLA, a game that the running Utes just did not come to play.
Trojans will have the longer weekend here. They're going to play Sunday night in Tempe against Arizona State. That'll be a game we'll have on Pac-12 Networks.
Which leads to a whole other discussion that Larry Scott has to address. Beautiful pass. Tarczewski has to catch that. I mean, you want it hard and fast, but Larry Scott has to address the issue that the Pac-12 is the only major conference that's still doing partner scheduling. And these guys are on the road too long. Do what is happening in the ACC, where you play one game on the middle of the week at home and the game on the weekend on the road, and then flip-flop it the next week. Because the players are on the road for 5-6 days at a time, and that's just too long. This is not professional basketball. Now that's a big-time move right there by Nikola.
Jovanovic, he put his weight into Tarczewski there.
But that's what you have to do.
Exactly, Bill. It's strong.
The great players, every great offensive player, Ted, they hit first. Whether it's Kareem, whether it's Michael Jordan, whether it's Magic, whether it's Bird, all of these guys, they just come in and they initiate. And that's why when they put Kareem's statue in front of Staples Center, they get that big elbow right out in front of your face. And my nose and teeth know that elbow too well.
Reinhardt letting it rip off the screen. Jacobs tracks down the long rebound.
Julian Jacobs, his floor mastery.
And Jovanovic, you can see the Jovanovic track record. I'm not sure he's passed the ball once out of an interior position.
That's okay. Get it and go. He's learning how to play. Just getting started right now. All there. And Damon Stoudemire, who sort of really set the tone here in the early days with Lute Olson and the guards coming down here. And Damon, who idolized Kevin Johnson, idolized Isaiah Thomas and all these guys that he got to play against, learn from, and now he is passing it on. And that's what the Players Program is all about here. The culture, the strength, the power, and that's what USC is searching for. USC, they have that in football. They know how to do that. They've had it before in basketball. They've got the legendary coaches from decades ago who set the foundation of how to play this great game. Now it's coming back alive under Pat Hayden and Andy Enfield, his hand-chosen successor.
Nice blow-by Stanley Johnson. 7 points now for Stanley.
You know, one of the coolest things about my job is to see these young people grow up. Now, I have 4 children. I don't know how many children you have. 2, right?
2.
Right. And to see them grow up before our eyes in just a very short period of time.
And hope that you still have money in the bank after they've grown up, right? They left you something.
We're doing fine.
I know. Well,
our children now make more money than we do. And that's fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you something. You got the right clock here. Chaz Bryan. Block! Gabe York.
Send it back, Gabe. Send it back.
Wow, he slipped and saved it. Unlike the play you saw in Seattle.
I like Stanley Johnson. I like guys who let it fly. Don't always try to get to the basket. Beautiful pass.
Darian Clark couldn't hang on. Game really going. All the games we've seen here, Bill, I haven't seen a game yet that's had this tempo. Have you?
I love this basketball.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
This is the way that Arizona played when they hosted Utah here. Utah had them for the first 5 minutes of the game. Right. And then you had that game with me here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic.
That was this kind of tempo?
Yes. Oh, yes. Hollis Jefferson down the lane. He slipped up in Washington. Missed a dunk that time, but this guy is just... They didn't wipe the floor up that time, and this is just so very, very dangerous. Oh, my gosh.
So anyway, I read the new Sports Illustrated today.
What's that? What was in there?
And there's an article about the Golden State Warriors, and the first section is about a guy named William Walton walking up to Golden State owner Joe Lacob and saying, "Joe, thank you for everything you've done." And I'm just sitting there thinking, yeah, my son's here, he's doing great, and he's going to take care of Pops. I get it.
But, no, we're doing fine. But we're so lucky that the Golden State Warriors are setting the standard right now. Across all levels of the stratosphere. And ownership, executive management, consulting Jerry West, all the way down, coaching, players, fans, marketing. They just have every base covered, and it goes down to the D-League, and it's happening. Patrick's son, who's running the D-League, the son of Rick's son, the longtime NBA executive. I mean, just so many perfect people.
Ooh, nice little move in the lane. Julian Jacobs. So Arizona with a chance to put up 50 plus in this first half. What's been fascinating is, well, there's a term, but Stanley Johnson, Bill, for all the talk about Stanley Johnson and his incredible individual abilities and talents, he has 6 assists in the first half.
It's his personality that impresses me the most, how mature he is. I mean, in a world where people just do nothing but tell him how great he is, level-headed as can be. And last week up in Washington, when Sean was in his face and kind of yelling at him, more than kind of, he was yelling at him. I was asking Stanley about that today, and Stanley said that his mom, Stanley's the youngest of 5 children, and his mom is a Hall of Fame level player from Jackson State at the collegiate level. And he said his mom used to really get in his face. His dad was more the kind of guy who would just encourage him and tell him I love you and everything, but it was his mom who was the driving basketball force. And he said that what Sean yells at him and says to him has nothing to what his mom did to him.
All right, we're going to have a State Farm halftime report coming up, Mike Yam, with Kevin O'Neill and Don McClain. As KO and Donnie Mack continue to polish their act, which I think is going on the road sometime soon.
The #1 indicator for success in life is your parents. And I was the luckiest guy. My parents were the most unathletic people ever. No interest in sports, none, either as participants or spectators. But they were perfect parents. They were encouraging and supporting.
They encouraged you, and
to do anything, to do it
right.
they came to our games because they were parents, not because they liked basketball or sports or anything. And that's what you look around in the coaches that we have in this Conference of Champions, and every one of them, positive, supportive, encouraging, constructive, build people's lives. I see some of these coaches in these other truck stop conferences where it's just like they're yelling and screaming and blaming everybody, trying to call every play. Look at both of these coaches sitting down here enjoying these wonderful athletes.
That's going to come back into USC, but no shot clock reset.
Talking to the coaches for USC today, asking what they need. And they brought up two names. Two longtime friends of mine who were no longer with us from the Portland Trailblazers, Maurice Lucas and Jerome Kersey. Jerome just passing yesterday. How very sad, from the blood clot. But that sense of toughness, that sense of physical, okay, I'm going to get in your face and I'm going to come in here and I am not going to allow anybody to push me around. And when they get those guys, USC's got a couple of big 7-footers from Los Angeles coming in next year. And things will be a lot different.
Duke's missing, and that will give Arizona the last go here. And McConnell is going. McConnell goes all the way and draws the foul on the way. There'll be a 1-and-1 for Arizona.
TJ McConnell is like Steve Nash and Magic Johnson. Plays the game totally for others. Throw Bill Russell into that. But TJ, like Magic and Steve, faster with the ball than without it. And he's most fortunate in that the defense, the big men opponents, they do not rotate to TJ because they've got to stay home on Hollis Jefferson, Johnson, Ashley, Tarczewski. So he gets by his man, and he's got a free way all the way to the rim, and he makes the most of that.
McConnell's scoring over 12 points a game in conference play.
How about the fact that he's got the cat socks?
Exactly.
You got the cats honoring Jason Terry, which we're going to do here in just 1 more second.
Hollis Jefferson's wearing him as well. And Darian Clark almost knocked that down.
I love the tradition. Greg Byrne, Lute Olson, they're all ready here. Jason Terry, stay with us at halftime. This will be incredibly special. This is what life is all about in the Conference of Champions. Honoring the tradition, the legacy. We're the luckiest people on earth.
In fact, Jason Terry's going to join us at some point in the second half. Coming up next, Mike Abb, J.O., Donnie Mack, the State Farm Halftime Report on Pac-12 Networks. Domino's leading scorers. You see Jovanovic with 9 leading the way for USC. Tarczewski, a good first half, 13 points, but the spread of the team and 6 assists each by Johnson and McConnell.
Balance, selflessness, focus, condition, determination, going for the title. Arizona. USC, on the other hand, this is a team in development, in progress. Jovanovic, excellent first half. Can he continue?
And Hollis Jefferson saves that. Ooh, and
send it back, Elijah.
And then Stanley Johnson is stuffed clean. That's a held ball. Possession Arizona, but USC denies twice at the rim.
In transition, attacking, never giving up or an inch. Beautiful rejection, and then the determination and poise, sense of purpose in mind. Stanley Johnson. But the fact that Stanley Johnson started his high school career as a freshman as the center on the team, ended it as the point guard. And every year he just took a different spot. Tarczewski, just a giant out there.
Back to that previous sequence, too. Elijah Stewart quietly, he's put up some number of blocked shots, 27 of them now as a freshman.
Offensive foul, they wave it off.
And it's 3 on Tarczewski. The other number, if there's only one other number that you want to digest from the first half, and it's no surprise, Arizona had 7 offensive rebounds. USC had 4 defensive rebounds. That's a very
Say that
bad.
again.
USC had 7 offensive rebounds
in the game
in the first half, and USC 4 defensive. That is a bad mix for the Trojans. Stanley Johnson has 11.
Most importantly for USC in this game is to get out of here with your head held high, knowing that you did your best. You're outmanned here. This other team is super good when they play like this. Maybe Kentucky can beat them. Maybe Duke can beat them.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bill, it's late February now, so we can start thinking this, because if things stay on course, and we have a couple of weeks to go yet, could it be Gonzaga and Arizona as the top 2 seeds in the West?
No.
Okay.
Because Arizona's not going to be able to move up enough.
I'm saying Gonzaga's 1 and Arizona 2 in the West.
No, because they're going to put Arizona
right now would be ticketed as a 2. The question is what region you put it in.
A bottom 2, though, and that means Kentucky bracket. And how are they going to move up? Because those other teams are not losing. And Arizona has only themselves to blame. Arizona should be undefeated. They lost 3 games, and I've been there myself, where you lose to teams that you should have no business losing to.
All right, so Joe Lunardi has been pretty good.
Perfect.
I mean, he's been really good. I should
how
say
does he know
he's been
all this
really
stuff?
good. So this is what he has. Which
Does he have a real job, or is this his job?
No, this is his job.
This is his job?
Yeah, from I believe it's St. Joe's in Philadelphia. I think he worked at St. Joseph's University for a long time.
Jack Ramsey School.
Yeah, great school. Phil Martelli as Ashley scores. So that's interesting, because in Joe Lunardi's projection, Stanford in, Oregon out. Oregon is ahead of Stanford in the conference and has more overall wins. Although they have at least one that doesn't count.
I don't think that Joe is aware that Stanford is playing so poorly right now. Beautiful. That shot was blocked, and he still recovered. Andy Enfield. He can only hope that he can get those 2 big 7-foot recruits out of Los Angeles to come and play in this second half. Penetration and dish, championship basketball. When you get your shot blocked and are still able to just recover and fence it, you know you can play. The defensive mentor at modern day, Jason Quinn, who kept drilling into young Stanley, hey, talent isn't enough. You got to come to work every single day. And you look at the great players in history, and he's got a chance. Stanley Johnson, I mean, look at that body. Look at his personality. Look at his stature. Look at the way he stands and runs. And you see him out here practicing, just tireless, effortless. And he just comes and brings it every single day. When he does that, who's going to stop this Wildcat team? I want to see that game up in Utah February 28th. I want both of these teams to come in on big winning streaks. Have that be the game of the millennium here in the Pac-12 network.
All right, late clock, Reinhardt. And he's smothered by Hollis Jefferson. But the foul is called. Of course, we'll see Utah tonight. Both top 10 teams in the conference are on Pac-12 networks, and it's a tough weekend for the Utes in Oregon. Corvallis tonight. That'll follow us immediately on Pac-12 networks and Pac-12 Now.
The Beavers have not lost at home. The Oregon Ducks sat Sunday at noon. Matt Knight Arena, Kilkenny Court. That will be a game to put your DVR on and check that out, because that crowd in Oregon, they'll be ready.
Well, there's a nice feeling. Hollis Jefferson, and he does a little jet swoop down the court after knocking down a 3.
Is this crowd ever going to sit down? This is like a dead show.
I'm just looking around in here and seeing all the heads so everywhere.
It's just unbelievable what's going on here. And everybody into the Jason Terry swoop, nice. and the jet soaring. That ceremony at halftime, Ted.
And Bill, we started on this in the first half, and what we're seeing the players doing tonight by honoring Terry with these it shows back to what T.J. McConnell said today. He talked about how important it was for the team to have Damon Stoudemire on their bench, and then I said, and Joseph Blair, who was a very good player here.
And Bob Elliott here.
And the connection to the program by having guys who played here, Damon Stoudemire, who wants to be a head coach, is working towards that. To have them being part of this program is so vital.
Bennett Davison flies in from Sacramento, on his way moving to Dallas. I talked to Luke Walton today, up in San Francisco on the phone. Luke sending his love and best wishes to Jason Terry and everybody here. I had the privilege of broadcasting Jason Terry's career. And I had no idea who he was. And I was doing the Wooden Classic over in Anaheim, and Utah was pummeling Arizona. And they had really good players, Utah did. And they had a great team, and they were hammering the Wildcats. And Lute Olson goes deep into his bench at the beginning of Jason Terry's career. And Jason Terry led a remarkable comeback all the way back, and they won the game in the Wooden Classic. And ever since, I have been riding on Jason Terry's bandwagon.
Well, McConnell's got a bandwagon going this year, doesn't he? It's the admiration for what he's done. He's only played 2 years here. He's already going to end the season as the active leader in Pac-12 assists.
But not only admiration, but appreciation and respect, because he has a different game. You know, today's game is dominated by these guys that just jump out of the gym and look like they're computer-generated superheroes. And here's little TJ McConnell from Chartiers Valley High School. And the fans finally sit down.
I got him to smile today. I told him, you know, there's only one thing left you have to do here other than the Final Four. We know that. He laughed because what I said, a 30-point game. And I got him to smile a little bit.
He's not ever going to do that. Because if he ever scores near 30, they're going to be so far ahead.
That's what they said. Sean Miller won't let him play long enough.
But there's never been a great player without a great coach. And what Herb Sendek and what Lute Olson have done for James and Jason is just absolutely spectacular. And the ability to change people's lives, to teach them how to become champions, and all the things they do on and off the court just epitomizes what the Conference of Champions is all about.
Wow, Julian Jacobs, that's a heck of a play. He kicked that ball ahead and still kept going, regained it, and won here.
The ability to dig out the loose ball and then get in transition and still have the presence of mind, the decision-making capabilities. You mentioned the Final Four for Sean Miller, excuse me. How old was John Wooden before he won his first national title?
I don't know.
53.
Is that right?
53. Now, once he got there,
yes,
he stayed.
He liked it. He liked it.
You have to have the players. We've seen two players this week: Harden, Jason Terry. But also, you have to have the support from up top. Tough pass, though. How many times has Hollis Jefferson been on the deck tonight?
Yeah. And I was laughing because TJ McConnell threw that pass. That's his third turnover of the game, and he looked right at Sean Miller, and Sean just kind of shook his head like.
But you're going to have turnovers.
Yeah.
And it's just like in science, it's just like in business, you're going to make mistakes. And you got to live with that, and you got to keep going, and that's where the encouragement. What was Wooden's maxim? I don't want turnovers, but if we're going to have them, I want them out of commission, not out of omission. Beautiful pass.
And Tarczewski is going to pick up, I believe this will be on him, and that would be his fourth.
But Andy Enfield, he's got a real dilemma on his hands, because you got Jordan McLaughlin, who's not playing, and we don't know if he's going to be able to play anytime soon with that bad shoulder. He's coming in, he had shoulder surgery. But ever since he went out the 2 conference victories for USC, this guy, Jordan McLaughlin, he's got real game. But the 2 victories that the Trojans have in the conference are the 2 games that he's missed. And it's clear that this guy, Julian Jacobs, is really, really good himself. And so they're going to have to learn how to play together and not just have one guy be the lead guy. And think back to the Lucius Allen, Mike Warren combination for UCLA, the Greg Lee, Henry Bibby, Larry Holyfield combination, the Walt Hazard, Dale Goodrich combination, the Mike Bibby, Miles Simon, Jason Terry combination.
Well, that's the relevant one tonight.
When you play together and you only have one goal, then you got eternal possibilities.
Hollis Jefferson's going out. Hollis Jefferson was the man who was charged with the foul on the previous trip. That was his third, so he has 3. Tarczewski has 3, and Marchetti at USC now has 3. Nice play. Well, that's Stewart. Did he get the shooter?
Yeah, but
yes.
Look at little Parker Jackson Cartwright. Looked like he might have hit his head on that ground when on the follow through from the block. Boy, you worry about these young guys.
Yes.
It's such a physical and rough game out there.
Stewart flying out there getting a piece of that ball, but the shooter himself. So Jackson Cartwright to the line. How about this for the Conference of Champions?
Yes.
Parker Jackson Cartwright. While he's been out for a couple of weeks, he's been working hard. He said the classes have been taking their toll on him. He's taking biology.
Good.
As a freshman.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
I took biology
you don't hear that
too.
a lot.
I took biology too, yes. On sorority row.
Now we're getting somewhere. Ristich gets that to drop.
This guy Deuce, I tell you, he is such a good player. One of the 3 Serbians in the game tonight. 2 of them for USC. We have not seen Luis Gravilovic, who is just fierce and tough as can be. But these guys, the 3, Deuce, Jovanovic, and Gravilovic are all going out tonight together, and they're going to talk about the homeland and how much fun it is for them, although tough as can be. I know you went halfway across the country to go to college from where you grew up in New York. I just drove up the road from San Diego. But this guy Deuce, he is going to be such a force for years to come. He's tall as can be, significantly taller than I am. And he's got excellent footwork. And I was out here watching him practice this morning, and he was making jump shots consistently from where Dirk Nowitzki, Larry Bird, Ray Allen, Reggie Miller make them in the NBA games. And just effortlessly, just one after another, just beautiful stroke. Now, he's going to have to start doing his push-ups and get that shoulder and stature and rack in a better position. But this guy is really going to be a fine player for years to come.
Talk about going away from home to go to school. And of course, for the Serbs, the 3 you're mentioning, they're all from a country that was created by war. And they're just young enough. I told the story early this year, but Ristich is just young enough to have missed it. And the part of Serbia he grew up in was not in the center of the fighting. But to think about it, because it's a very small country, to have everybody in your life be touched by shelling and bombing that was going on right amidst them.
I've been to Serbia, and I first went to Yugoslavia in 1970 as a high school player on the U.S. national team. And it was still recovering from World War II at that time, and Marshal Tito. But it was just remarkably beautiful. Oh my gosh. Plenty of biology there. Brandon Ashley's game tonight has been superb. And what I like about what's happening with Arizona is we're seeing peer pressure.
Right.
Tarczewski plays fantastic. Ashley says, I got to get going. Hollis Jefferson clamps down defensively. Stanley Johnson says, I can do that too. Tarczewski gets it going. Deuce says, hey, my turn now. And there's the little engine that could go for the players. And they all start, they love LA, they love Atlanta, they love Houston, Chicago, and Washington, D.C., those big urban areas where you just have the huge population base. Los Angeles, by itself, probably 4 times bigger than the entire country of Serbia right now. And the sense of these guys coming to a place where they've never been before. Learning from a master teacher, a coach, having to totally start their lives afresh and having no idea where it's going to go. How exciting, how dynamic. Have you been up to ASU lately?
I have not. I'm going Sunday.
And
not
to
been
see
there this year.
to see the curtain of distraction.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. I think that's terrific.
What's going on economically in the city of Phoenix, the 6th largest city in the country? What's going on culturally at the University of Arizona State, the new American university? Your life will never be the same again. And they put water in the Salt River. Who would have ever thought?
Now I have to go for a run there Sunday when I get down. That's great. Hey, and we've been giving Dana Altman some praise, deservedly. Herb Sendek too, because what he's done to pull together a team that was so unknown at the beginning.
They lost all their key guys from last year's team. They had terrible injuries this year. Savon Goodman coming out of nowhere, a transfer, just getting eligible now.
Hollis Jefferson going against Gavrilovic. Andy Enfield going into his bench for him, going for Chaz Bryan. Malik Marquetti.
Beautiful.
And then Hollis Jefferson is tied up, goes down with Bryan right there to help him.
Rondé Hollis Jefferson already has more steals this year than he had all of last season. Stanley Johnson, the other wing guy out in the passing lane all the time, he's got more steals than any other freshman in the entire country. And Sean Miller's teams, they generally don't get a lot of steals because he likes to pack it in defensively and just force the other team to beat you with perimeter jumpers, which is a great defensive strategy. But this year alone, the Wildcats, as a team, they have more steals and have forced more turnovers than in any of the previous 5 full seasons under Sean Miller.
Yeah, they got 5 tonight. I'm trying to think. So, I wonder if there's any change. Are they playing passing lanes more?
You have different personnel because you got the big shot blockers behind you, the confidence that they have in Tarczewski and Brandon Ashley playing. But when you got Hollis Jefferson and Stanley Johnson on the wings, there is no limit as to what is possible for your team. But they can get out and guard, they can steal, they can convert in transition, and they don't mind getting beat.
It was a very nice play by USC there, and again, everything was made but the basket.
Nice passing, but great recovery defensively.
Yes, exactly. Boy, that is by Arizona. And Marquetti, I believe they're going to call Marquetti on the foul.
We've been raving all night about how fantastic Arizona's playing. They are just one of 3 teams, the Wildcats, who are in the top 15 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. The other 2 teams being Kentucky and Wichita State, 2 excellent programs. What Greg Marshall has been able to do in Wichita, I mean, come on.
All right, hold on a second. Marquetti just fouled out for USC, and my heart is stopped. Did I just hear you quote a stat? Oh!
Come on, we're celebrating Jason Terry, who learned from Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban, who has brought so many positive changes to our world, not just sports, business, culture, everything. And I remember Mark Cuban at the beginning when he first bought the Mavericks. Much like Copernicus, they all said he was absolutely crazy. But that's what's great about the world, is that you just keep going and you come up with a new idea and then you execute that. Because never forget that vision without execution is nothing but hallucination. It's gotten eerily quiet in here.
Gavrilovic, it's a 3 for his first points tonight. And Malik Marquetti just fouled out on that previous USC foul.
Well, when you foul out off the bench when there's still 10 minutes to go in the game, not been your night.
And Jackson Cartwright got hit again, but finished the play. Gets back up, fouled Gavrilovic.
Change of pace, change of direction. You think of the great ones and how fantastic it is that one of our Pac-12 Conference of Champions alumni is up for this year's Hall of Fame, Kevin Johnson.
The mayor. What a outstanding man.
I had the privilege of broadcasting so many of his games. Just, that's what you hope for in life. Whoa, how is that not a basket?
Jackson Cartwright on the foul. There are players that are so instrumental to whether it's the birth or the resuscitation of a program.
Right.
You know, you look at a guy like Steve Kerr and what he meant when he came here, and then Sean Elliott to Arizona basketball. Kevin Johnson is that way for Cal basketball after 2 decades of being down. When Kevin Johnson went there from Sacramento in the mid-'80s, that brought Cal's program to life.
And then Mike Montgomery with the most successful 6 years. And now Conzo Martin, who's really getting it. That's an over and back violation.
Yeah, a lot of scrambling around, slapping at the ball, and eventually it's out to Arizona.
Sean Miller enjoying himself immensely. The team has played superbly tonight.
Elijah Stewart.
That's David Thompson block right there. I've had that happen to me. That's no fun.
David Thompson?
Well, sent mine back regularly.
Whoa! Wow.
David Thompson.
YouTube that.
David Thompson was the highest jumper I ever saw. Dominique Wilkins a close second.
Dave York missing. And Tarczewski is fouled by Jovanovic. Well, it's been a nice comeback for Parker Jackson Cartwright. First game he's played this month, and for that effort to get 8 points and still be on the court, he'll get our Motel 6 sixth man of the game.
And a great night's sleep. Congratulations, Parker. Just be careful out there. Take care of that brain. The ultimate weapon.
He needs it for that biology class. Elijah Stewart is leading USC in block shots this year. He's 9th on their all-time freshman single-season list, which is interesting. I think they'd be a little bit higher than that, but I mean, he's shown you why tonight.
But he's just a country boy from a small town, DeRidder, Louisiana. Elijah Stewart goes to Westchester High School, though over by the airport, LAX. The high school that's given us Trevor Ariza, Jason Hart, a current assistant coach, outstanding on the Andy Enfield staff. Also Tony Bland on the USC staff as well. How about Trevor Ariza, though?
Is he still playing in the league?
He's just signed his second $40+ million contract. Congratulations, Trevor. I love this game. Thank you, Michael Jordan. Thank you, David Stern. Brandon should just let that go.
Yeah, it was a slide off the pick, and Ashley had a shot. Oh, he got a shot. He got a shot 2 touches later.
Seeing some real emotion here from Brandon Ashley.
And he's Reinhardt missing.
Elijah Stewart is flying above the rim time and time again. I was unaware that he had that much athleticism.
Reinhardt goes down, loses the ball. They'll come back to Arizona out of a timeout as we look at a very unheralded guy here.
Tough night for the Trojans, due in large part to Brandon Ashley, who's just getting it all done. Even when he loses the ball, he's able to throw it right back down. This is an incalculable
part of his colon. He is back officiating 2 weeks later. I spoke to him. And it's a wonderful lesson because he has colon cancer in his family history, and that's the benchmark for men and women both. Get checked. Get checked. And Vern was very diligent about getting checked and said his was caught extremely early.
And it was nice of Tarzewski to walk by and say, welcome back. And Vern Harris, who's been calling these games for as long as I can remember. And it's just fantastic to see him back out here because you just never know. Every single day. We lost Jerome Kersey last night. Parker Cartwright Jackson. Jackson Cartwright, has a concussion. You never know when he's going to come back. Big Deuce, he gets sick and spends 3 days in the hospital. You just never know. It's all about health. And that's what's great about the research institutes in the Conference of Champions that are driving the future.
Well, and I'm going to say this, Bill. I was here on an unfortunate day, the day that Representative Gabrielle Giffords was shot. And I was here that day. There was supposed to be a game played, and of course it wasn't. It was played the next day instead. But it took a horrendously tragic event to hammer home to me the incredible strength of the University of Arizona, the medical center here, and its vital importance to the city of Tucson.
And the people who sacrifice everything to keep it all going. And what a community they have here. And to be able to come out every night and celebrate this wonderful team that plays with such ideals and such positive goals. And what Lute Olson and Kelly, his wife, have been able to do to continue it going. And every single night. This program, there's Lute, Kelly on the left of the screen. Never underestimate the value of love in life. And on the day that we celebrate not only Copernicus' birthday, but Smokey Robinson's 75th birthday. Smokey, I second that emotion. Thank you so much, Smokey. But
there is tonight's daily double for you, ladies and gentlemen. Copernicus and Smokey Robinson.
But this building, they've had 20-plus victories for this team, this franchise, 28 times in the last 31 years. That is sustainability. That's what the biosphere is about. Throw it down, big man.
Parker Jackson Cartwright tried to set it up for Tarzewski.
Darian Clark is playing with some toughness tonight. He's undersized out there. The Atlanta native started in Charlotte before ending up here at USC. One of the problems that the Trojans are going to have over time is the incredibly strict academic entrance requirements to get into a school like USC. So it's much more difficult for the JUCO guys to come to a school like USC.
Called the travel there on Jacobs, a sliding stop.
And there's great credit to that. Dr. Stephen Sample, the longtime president of USC, who retired several years ago, but was the driving force in so emphasizing academics at USC and turning it into that very school you just talked about, Bill.
I was just there 10 days ago, and I had never been on the campus before. And to see what they have going there, every campus I go to now in the Conference of Champions, I'm just blown away. And here's the Stars going to the bench to a rousing ovation. Stanley Johnson, Hollis Jefferson. Comets streaking across the desert night sky. Well, thank you for stopping by, guys.
Well, some of this is going to be some cameo stuff tonight for Arizona. Now, again, they have UCLA here Saturday. TJ McConnell, I'm assuming he's not coming back. He's only played 19 minutes tonight.
I've got to get this as my screensaver, yes. And I misidentified the plant on the right. That's not a mesquite tree. That's an ocotillo cactus. Not in bloom, waiting for the red tip flowers to come out. But the saguaros, the ocotillos, all the aloes in bloom right now. The desert. My drive down here this morning. I don't sleep after these games. I was up very early and just mind racing. And I got in the car and just drove down, and the sun coming up, and then coming down here to Tucson and the Tortolita Mountains and Mount Graham, Mount Lemmon, the Catalinas. The Rincon Mountains out to the east. Beautiful passing.
And again, everything there. Ashley with a beautiful touch to Tarczewski. So, Bill, on Arizona.
Right.
We talk about, TJ McConnell didn't have to play a lot tonight. Tarczewski hasn't had to play a lot tonight. And now, Story interruptus here, thanks to a timeout. We'll get back to that.
Another timeout?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, we're staying here.
Okay.
There is a timeout. Staying here. So I'm going to say that the guy that's flying to me, totally under the radar for Sean Miller's team right now, is Brandon Ashley. You've been talking about him tonight because they didn't have Ashley for March last year. They should have him for March this year. And what a difference for their Arizona's hopes to have not just Johnson and McConnell going as well and Hollis Jefferson, but to have that guy.
When I look at all these players, Brandon Ashley has the most talent, the most upside. He's bigger, he's stronger than Stanley and Rondé. He's got those long arms, he's got that stature, he's got the touch, natural as can be. The growth for Brandon Ashley has to come on the mental side, on the confidence side, on the personality side, to where he walks out there and it just, the light's all shining on me. And these people are here, and I am going to make them stand and dance and chant and yell and scream until they can no longer do it. And it's when he gets to that level, and he's certainly capable of it. And then Tarczewski right behind him, then Arizona will have that chance to beat Kentucky. Now the difference with Kentucky is they have so many players. Kentucky has 10. Arizona, Deuce would have to play fantastic.
Nice putback by Ashley.
Matt Korchek would have to get it done because Kentucky, they're like the Colorado River. You go up and you see that erosion of the Grand Canyon, and you just see what happens when the opponent, the water, just keeps coming. Oh, look at little Parker.
Nicely done by Jackson Cartwright. And that's a new freshman high, 10 points, first time for Jackson Cartwright.
The celebration here tonight, jump ball here, Deuce and Nikola. And all those things that I was saying about Brandon Ashley, the same could be applied to Nikola Jovanovic. Excellent performance. It was Brandon Ashley who started it off tonight, right? Or no, that was Tarczewski, excuse me. He had the second basket on the jumper from the left baseline.
So Ashley got more minutes tonight than any of the Arizona starters. He's going to end up playing 28 minutes. But this is a nice opening for Sean Miller to give the frontline guys a little less of a workload with the UCLA game here on the weekend.
UCLA losing at Arizona State last night in a most winnable game, did not get much production out of their real strength of the team. DeLon Wright, though, coming up next year on the Conference of Champions Pac-12 Network. When Utah was here, they outplayed Arizona in the first 5 minutes of the game, and they're playing at Oregon State, a team that has not lost at home this year.
Including beating Arizona.
Yes.
And I've got to think, Bill, that I haven't had a chance to be at Gill Coliseum this year, but I've got to think that crowd's going to be great tonight. The atmosphere at Corvallis.
And they built, under Craig Robinson's leadership, a brand new practice facility up there that is really going to help. And Wayne Tinkle has just done a masterful job at coaching what he has and who's able to contribute. And then he's got a big time player, because you're not going to win games. You can talk about stats and strategy and whatever you want to talk about, but unless your best players play really well, and that has not been the case tonight for Andy Enfield. I mean, they started out okay, but Caton Reinhardt, Julian Jacobs, Elijah Stewart, the guys who played so well in the Oregon State victory just the other day, and then the front court has been pushed around.
Well, the task is well known how hard this will be. 35 straight now at McHale. The last time Arizona lost on this court was 2 years ago and a week. California with Alan Crabb.
I did that.
Now in the NBA.
Alan Crabb had an incredible
spectacular game.
With like 36 points, right?
Alan Crabb and Justin Cobbs, the backcourt, pummeled Arizona in the second half. And that was the last game that Arizona lost on this floor. And Mike Montgomery, fittingly the coach, because during Lute Olson's best years, no coach was able to win against Arizona more in this conference than Mike Montgomery.
And Mike Montgomery was so very close to becoming the all-time winningest coach in the history of the Pac-12 Conference, the Conference of Champions. And then he just said, I've had enough. And now he's working with us. And how cool is that?
All right, so it'll be to the line for Jackson Cartwright here, just over 4 to play.
But how about Jason Terry on his night, as it was James Harden's last night? How many players have won at the high school level? He was a state champion in Washington. He won at the collegiate level. NCAA champion in 1997. He was an NBA champion. There is not a lot of guys you can say that about. Because most players have one period in their life when they're good. Nice pass. Malik Martin has just got to grab that and throw it down, please.
And Jason Terry is 37, I believe now. He's playing for Houston for the first time. So he and Harden, we showed Harden's retirement at Arizona State last night. Jason here tonight. They're teammates for the first time in Houston. Jason Terry has his best three-point shooting percentage in 9 years this year at the age of 37. And how about Dusan?
And the crowd just loving it, and the Arizona bench with the pyramid and the triangle.
Yes. That was Ristich's fourth. In fact, Dusan Ristich is 4 for 5 this season at the three-point line.
The guy can stroke it, and what they should do is they should start capitalizing on that and running some sets to get him that shot, because nobody's going to go out and guard somebody that tall, that far from the basket, and he can make so many of them. That could be a huge weapon. But how about the similarities with JT and James Harden? 6th man of the year at the professional level. Deuce Ristich, a full 7 feet tall, lost 10 pounds in the 3 days that he spent in the hospital with the bacterial infection. But he sure looks smooth and sweet tonight. And with the bench, the unanimous celebration and even a little shimmy shake by Rondé. Who's going to stop that? Let's see some more of it, Caleb. We've seen it once. How about every single night? And for those of us lucky enough to be in Tucson today, after Phoenix last night, UCLA coming in Saturday night, but tomorrow night at the Rialto Theater right downtown Tucson, Lucinda Williams. Oh my gosh. Hold on.
Let me see if I can change my flight. Hold on.
Hold on, because Lucinda, oh, what an angel. Yes.
I don't know, Mr. Walden. May have time to swing by the Rialto tonight and catch the last act.
We'll be close. We'll be close.
All right, 3 minutes to go here. And Arizona again to make it 23 wins for the year, 35 straight here. It'll be a Saturday night game with UCLA. A big day. ESPN Game Days bringing in the big production here on Saturday to highlight this program.
Matt Korchek, the kind of guy that makes the Pac-12 the Conference of Champions that it is. That guy's got it. And what I love about Matt Korchek, before every game here, or at like the first time out of every game played here at McHale, they bring out a member of our military, people who sacrifice everything in their lives so that we can have our dreams come true. Matt Korchek is the son of a military family who had to move every 3 years of his life. Very, very tough. But now he's a senior, he's graduating, he's in fantastic physical condition. He's got a real game, comes and works every single day, harder than anybody. And now he gets a little bit of time to play. Yeah. And he can really play.
Well, he had that moment. He spent 4 years working, and Korchek got that moment this year when Arizona played at Stanford. They had a bunch of fouls, and he had to play important minutes.
And Arizona was not going to win that game unless Matt Korchak delivered, and he did. And to sit over there every night, never get in, never get the attention, never get the focus, that's what the players program is all about. When the coach, when the leader says no, you can't play, and you still buy in. That is great leadership, but that's also the culture that Greg Byrne and Sean Miller have built and established here. Come on, Deuce.
Throwing it up there at the basket. Drew Mellon is in the game off the bench for Arizona. Jacob Hazard also. Devin Pfluger is in for USC in these closing moments.
Remember when we first got here this season and Deuce had just shown up? And we're like, oh, who's this guy? He was so thin and so frail and so tentative and hesitant, and reluctant really to do anything. And now he's basically ready to have his own late night talk show.
Did some push-ups for you today. I saw that.
He needs to do 2 sets of push-ups every half an hour, every waking moment. Come on, Jacob, let one fly here. Let's go. Your grandmother Jalise is watching.
And Korchak, well, Korchak will get to the foul line. Trying to score there. There you go. Bill, we've been here enough for games this year. Today was typical. Stanley Johnson, TJ McConnell, Dusan Ristic, they were out here on the court after USC finished their shoot-around, but it was about an hour and a half before Arizona started their shoot-around, which runs an hour and a half. So they spent 3 hours on the court this afternoon, the day of a game.
It's amazing how close this Arizona squad is. And all the other coaches in this conference would dream about having that kind of team, community, university support and commitment. But Matt Korchak, who went to high school here in Tucson, is now going to the line again. One time, please. Matt's going to graduate with a dual degree, human sciences and social science. He's got 2 older sisters. He's the youngest of 3. Lauren, she lives right here in Tucson still, and Christian, she's back in New York.
What did Jason Terry say at halftime tonight? We were doing our State Farm halftime report. Jason Terry spoke to the crowd here. One of the things he said he was so proud of, he got his degree.
That's why you come. That's the knowledge, the brain. And that's Parker Jackson Cartwright. Take care of that brain. Nourish it. You talk to all these guys. You talk to little Jacob Hazard out here. Give him the ball back. Let one fly, Jacob. Come on. Please. For your grandmother, who was a cheerleader at UCLA during UCLA's first championship. And then married the star player, Walt Hazard. And now we have Jacob, the conference of champions. Our player of the game.
Arizona puts up a win. Can Utah match it tonight? Bill, we'll next see you in Las Vegas at the Pac-12 tournament.
Here we go. We've got a game. Thank you, Jason Terry. Thank you, Pac-12. Throw it down, big man, one time. Stroke a 3. What a game. What a team.
Thanks to our crew. With Bill, I'm Ted. Stay tuned. Utah and Oregon State after the break on Pac-12 Networks.